Today, we take a look into Orth and its connections into a cult-like society in the bottom of the abyss. I know it's kind of lame, but at the same time, Tsukushi could probably make it badass. So, we're gonna go ahead and say, Reg people, right, are the society down there, right? That's what we're going off of. The 2,000 years ago of Orth being discovered, we see the earliest type of society that was built around the abyss, which is built around value and fertility, even in children, which is fucked up. But if given the opportunity to be examined for fertility and discovering that one is not indeed fertile, they are marked as bait. But I thought the wording was definitely interesting just because of the Ajo in the newest manga says something like about the Shrine Maiden bait, and the fact that she says it in such a positive light is definitely suspicious. But anyway, so like these children are tattooed as bait, so pretty much given, quote, no value, right? You could sit here and say like the indigenous people, the original people, well, not the original, but you know, the first type of people to build a society on the island of the abyss is like savage perception. I mean, it is fucked up, but it is what it is in this show. I mean, you've got a lot more worse stuff. But pretty much they're pretty much tools, right? Just something to build the society, to give more value to, you know, or whatever the reason is, sacrifices or, you know, whatever. But here is the reason for explaining that, even though you probably know that. If we look at Orth as it is right now, a whole ass town city built around the abyss that not only glorifies diving in its raiders, but quite literally regards white whistles as legends. People who frankly seem to know a lot more about the abyss than is let on. I think this by itself creates a sense of wonder and magic and mystery, especially to a child, right? Think of a child who grows up watching mom and dad coming and going, right? Watching them rise the ranks of the whistles, seeing the colors turn all the way to black, and all of a sudden, they're inspired, right? Then they die, right? You have all this crazy inspiration from this kid, just from this one person, right? It builds the mystery, it builds the intrigue, it builds the motivation to go down further to see how he died, right? Look at Rico. Rico is literally the perfect example of what I'm talking about right now, right? She grew up looking at her mom, being inspired even after her, quote, death, right? Even after her death, Rico is still, oh, I have to go down into the abyss, right? So there's no nuance to it, you know? It is what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna get into it because we need to discuss cults and the three distinct models that try to explain how people get sucked into cults in the first place. Deliberative model is when individuals join the cult because of shared perceptions or worldviews. Maybe like all souls go down to the abyss, you know? We all meet in the abyss in the end. What is taken from the abyss is later given back to one, you know, or, you know, whatever it is that person is trying to, you know, philosophize about the abyss. Psychodynamic model is the second one. Individuals join because of psychological needs being met, such as like depression or maybe grief from a dying family member, right? Coping. Well, quote, coping. And then the third is thought reform model, which is the needs of an individual are manipulated, such as Ittle, I think so, right? She's just a kid. Her value comes from playing with animals and learning how to survive in, you know, the abyss and trying to spread their culture, you know, into a further advancement of society, you know, make it to start growing foods and building buildings and, you know, like actual infrastructure for that a society needs to, you know, further its development, right? So these things can be attributed to a whole host of things, and I'm gonna be making a whole video on it. This is just a quick discussion about it. So here's the thing, Rico. Let's go back to Rico, right? An orphan. Probably the saddest, way that you could become an orphan. You grow up with your mom. She's 12, right? You have like this sense of reality and gravitas of certain situations. Not every situation, but some situations. You understand the gravitas of it, right? That what it really means, right? In some situations. So she grows up thinking that her mom is like the coolest thing ever, and then she's orphaned, right? Where's she gonna go? She's grieving, she's sad, she's upset. The orphanage is gonna come take her. She's vulnerable, right? She feels like she's alone in the world. These emotions that these kids specifically feel, feed the soul of the abyss. These children are broken and raised in a kill or be killed world. Right? The vulnerability of that allows people in the Belstro orphanage or people like Bondrewd, maybe even Ozen. Who knows who else could come into the wharf and reignite the hearts of the kids, reignite the hearts of the homesick. Some are lucky enough to be, quote, appraised and deemed, at the very least, physically suited for the nature of the abyss, right? So it's like, it's right there, right? It's right there. I feel like it's right there, right? They're deceiving these kids, right? Oh, the abyss is great. If you make it to the bottom, you have good things. There's treasure down there. There's knowledge down there. White whistles are amazing. And then you meet the white whistles and they're fucking assholes, right? So it's a huge thing, right? They glorify them. They make them, quote, celebrities, even bigger than celebrities, straight up legends to kids to look up to inspire them to go into the abyss, to grab stuff. It's crazy. Deception is a big thing in these cults, right? And a huge thing in Orth. Propaganda-esque celebrations and recounting of white whistle accomplishments. Even how the whistle rank system works. Again, to kids. Shouldn't they already know this, right? If the abyss is as popular as everyone claims it is, wouldn't everybody have an idea of at least the white whistle names? At least what a black whistle means? Or at the very least, what a white whistle means, right? You can't just become a white whistle randomly, right? They show these kids these glorifications of atrocities made in the abyss, right? But they're in. It's a fairy tale to them. They're hooked. The longing begins. They raise these broken children up just the way they need, enthusiastic and willing to go down, just for the chance to maybe become a white whistle. The orphanage sees it as money, as relic collection, right? Anything these kids bring, oh, we have to gather it first, right? But these kids don't mind. These kids grew up in a mindset of the abyss being this godly thing, being almost a deity, with souls, quote, returning to the bottom, all the way up to a whole city, a whole society, again, being built on the edge of this thing. It's the same way the indigenous islanders handled the abyss and the children. Just like tools, advancements of society. This right here is a clear theme established in Made in Abyss, right? The culture, even from the first people to settle on the island that we see, that Ganja meets, right? The culture, even from the tribe that Ganja meets, have to be bits and pieces taken from the tribe of the seventh layer, right? Rage's people or whatever. And if we think about this even more, Ganja Gang ended their story through the same motions, through the abyss, be it directly or indirectly. These raiders are given value, turned into relics by the abyss, and the cycle repeats. Think of it. A kid like Rico, who has inspiration for the abyss, who has seen the abyss, who has maybe touched relics, who has a mother who is physically attached to the abyss through the white whistle. And then think about like a Rico, a 12-year-old, just now getting into it, right? Her value, quote, value that the abyss is putting on her is going to be far greater than anybody else. And I think that's what makes Rico an okay, quote, like indestructible main character. I mean, obviously she gets hurt, but like as a main character, we know that nothing seriously bad is gonna happen to her, at least until the end of the series. But that's okay though, because she is physically attached to the abyss in some way that we don't know. It's in an unfathomable way, right? I think that Orth, or at least the quote higher ups, including the White Whistles, are aware of the curse. So they grab these kids who are vulnerable and manipulate them to get them to love them, kind of like Bondru did, right? So when the curse leaks into Orth, they are nothing but conduits for the blessings, or they are nothing but conduits of the blessing for the mentors, or at least the White Whistles, because they do tend to have child apprentices. But anyway, I'm gonna end it there. I have a whole other discussion that I would like to go through. I'm gonna go through this. Thank you for listening, for watching. I hope to build some kind of hype for Made in Abyss, and hopefully get up back on the train and start talking to you guys and building up a community. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.